So we need to have another discussion about the Conference League apparently, because the new format is making an already great tournament even better. No, I don't want to see Barcelona beat Young Boys 5-0. I want to see a random Czech midfielder banging in goals top bins. So hopefully you guys know about the changes to these UEFA competitions, where there's now a league phase that goes into a playoff to determine the round of 16. But for this competition in the Conference League, one thing that makes it better is that during the league phase, there's only 6 matches rather than 8 like in the other UEFA competitions, meaning that the room for error is even smaller. As an example, PSG managed to advance to the round of 16 by just barely scraping by Brest 10-0 on aggregate, but if the UCL was following the Conference League rules, they would have been eliminated after the 6th match day, and Atletico Madrid wouldn't have gotten their automatic bid in the round of 16 either. Now, the Conference League table going into the last day of the league phase looked something like this, and rather surprisingly, it was actually pretty tame, except of course it wasn't. This is the Conference League we're talking about. The final day saw 10 different clubs change qualification status, whether they went from the top 8 to the playoff round to out, or just some other combination, and these were those 10 clubs. Now we can separate these groups into 3 different categories, the first being the boring group because their final match day didn't really have a lot of excitement. Shamrock Rovers put the rock in their name by getting rocked by Chelsea 5-1 and dropping into the playoff round, while Rapid Wien and U Gordon took care of business to secure a spot in the top 8. The next group involved clubs that bottled it in some degree and include these 3 right here. Başakşehir and Hearts both got eliminated because of late goals they conceded, with Hearts missing out because of goals scored, whereas Jagiellonia couldn't even muster a single goal, those lazy bums, and had to settle for the playoff round. And then we have the opposite of bottlers, with these clubs coming in clutch. Both TSC and Celje had to win their matches just to have a chance at the knockouts, and both of them delivered. TSC were down early by 2 goals and were approaching full time, still down by 2, but 3 goals in 7 minutes helped secure a place in the playoff round. Celje's final day was actually pretty similar as well, as they found themselves behind on 2 separate occasions, but equalized just a minute afterwards each time, and eventually they scored late on to advance. These guys are 5th in the Slovenian league and still pulled off this comeback. Mentality monsters right there. Despite all of that, the best match on the final day was found between Mlada and Molde, both of whom needed to win to realistically get to the playoff round of the league phase, and goodness gracious did it not disappoint. Now the match started off early because of a mistake from the Molde keeper, and Mlada happened to go up, but just about 20 minutes later, Molde responded because of 2 pinpoint passes leading to a tap-in. Molde eventually takes the lead thanks to an own goal, because chaos happens when teams actually need a win. In the second half, the Molde keeper made up for a mistake that he made in the first half with the great save, but Mlada eventually equalized because these moves are clearly too much. Neymar, eat your heart out, I've never seen anything like it. After those skill moves that only Ronaldinho could imagine trying, Mlada regained the lead after a banger of a shot from that Czech midfielder I mentioned earlier. I mean, good golly, Miss Molly. More chaos happened to ensue just 3 minutes later as Molde equalized again, and just in the span of a few minutes, 3 goals were scored and we have a level game at 3-3. But Molde, knowing that they needed a win to just have a chance at the playoff round, threw everyone forward, and eventually they got their winner in the 91st minute. Now I could go into even more depth about some of these matches, but I don't want to take away from the playoff round, something that makes the league phase look like Arsenal. A little bit boring and ultimately disappointing. I have to make these jokes or I will break down. Now the matchups on paper made it seem like there wouldn't be too much to talk about, but a first leg full of shit that only the Conference League could produce gave us some amazing storylines, like the $100 million fidget spinner putting in a solid performance and scoring a curler from outside of the box, only proving Man United is a career-ruining club and has been for over a decade. You also had last place in the Bundesliga Heidenheim, who had not won a league match since September, beating Danish league leaders Copenhagen with a late goal. You even had a 16-year-old making his first professional start for Shamrock Rovers and even scoring to give them a 1-0 win. I would say say it's his first appearance, but he technically played 1 minute of professional football, so he's basically a seasoned vet at this point. No need for school anymore, kid. There was a 91st minute winner, an Icelandic club beating one of the most historic Greek clubs in history, Celje, that 5th place Slovenian club, battling to a 2-2 draw against the best Cyprus club of all time, which, you know, I know is not that crazy, but still. And finally, there was FIFA legend Mislav Orsic scoring his first goal since the 2022 World Cup to level the match and give his club an advantage going into the second leg at home. Holy shit. There are people who really don't care about this competition, and they are missing out. 7 of the 8 first leg matches had some type of amazing moment to talk about, but the second leg was even better. Like, are you seeing a pattern here? Do you understand what's going on? It just keeps getting better. Now, even though I do want to save the best ties for last, most of these games are at least worth mentioning. TSC, a club in the relegation half of the Serbian league, was one of the clubs who dramatically fought for the playoff round by coming back from 2 goals down like we mentioned earlier, but unfortunately, they were pretty easily beaten 6-2 on aggregate. Matisse's first leg performance was too much for Ghent to overcome, and so their complete failure to lose to the worst Conference League club in the league phase came back to bite them. Banja Luka's 91st minute winner in the first leg turned out to be the winner across the entire tie, and the all-Cyprus tie between Paphos and Omonia finished with the league leaders winning the tie 3-2 on aggregate. Now that leaves us with 4 different ties to talk about, whether it's because of how insane the result was, or just how that result was even able to happen in the first place. For example, Celje managed to knock out a different Cyprus club by winning 2-0 away, and then eventually winning the tie 4-2. Were there any last-second goals? A gutsy performance with only 10 men? No, but the fact that Celje was even there in the first place is what's impressive, because if you remember, I mentioned that they were only in the round of 16 to begin with because of a superior goal difference of 0, and their last league phase match was a win after coming from behind on 2 separate occasions. Celje went from basically doing nothing of note to being the first Slovenian club to make the knockout round of a European competition, something that would be very, very tough to beat, except it's not, because Molde did basically the same thing. Like I said, it just gets better. We went pretty in-depth about Molde's win over Mlada in the league phase and how they managed to stay alive because of their 91st minute winner. Well, things were looking a little more bleak compared to Celje, because Molde found themselves a goal down after the first leg because a literal child dunked on them. But in the second leg, they managed to equalize very quickly as the new Rovers keeper made a huge mistake and gifted a goal to the Norwegian club. A questionable non-penalty call later went in Molde's favor, but what wasn't questionable was this second yellow card by Amundsen, as he literally dragged down his opponent while at midfield, resulting in Molde playing with 10 men for the entirety of extra time. And after a lackluster 30 minutes and a penalty shot by Aaron Green that makes Ademola Lookman look good, Molde survived and advanced to the round of 16. Now, even though some of these moments result in teams being disappointed by the result, there's one in particular that could be seen as even more disappointing, and that involves Heidenheim. For some context, these guys made it to the Bundesliga for the very first time last year after rising through the lower tiers of Germany, essentially being the German version of Luton Town. Unlike Luton Town, however, Heidenheim finished in 8th place and managed to snag a place in the Conference League. Unfortunately, they lost some key parts of their team, and since September 28th, they have only won 1 single league match. Now, thankfully, that form didn't carry completely over to the Conference League, as they were able to finish in a playoff spot pretty easily, and even managed to beat Copenhagen 2-1 on aggregate. But so many losses will eventually take its toll, and this is where last place Heidenheim stumbled. Copenhagen came out firing and put Heidenheim completely on the back foot for the opening 70 minutes, and got 2 goals in the process, putting them ahead on aggregate. But thanks to a wonderful free kick, it went back to level terms, and the match suddenly became more open. Heidenheim even thought that they could squeeze out some magic like last season, but their 90th minute shot attempt was only able to hit the post, and in extra time, Copenhagen took back control of the game and officially broke Heidenheim hearts after scoring a goal in the 113th minute and winning the tie. The one positive, at least for Heidenheim, is that now they can focus all of their energy in the league, right? Try not to get relegated.
Oh my goodness!
Now, I don't want to end this video on a sad note, even though it sounds like I normally do, because this is just my voice. So I saved one of the best games for last, and that was between Panathinaikos and Reykjavik. Now, the Icelandic club stunned the Greek powerhouse by winning 2-1 in the first leg, but there was still work to be done back in Athens. A stout defensive effort in the first half had Panathinaikos fans worried they would crash out of the competition, but their left back, Mladenovic, scored an absolute peach of a goal to equalize, which, by the way, happened to be his first goal of the season and on his weak foot, proving that Football Manager is truly realistic. And speaking of unexpected goals, we would eventually find ourselves in the 94th minute, where Tete, yes, that Tete, who is a highly rated prospect at one point for Shakhtar, played for Lyon and played for Leicester in the Premier League, scored the winner for his new club in his debut season. Now, clearly, the Conference League is something that a few people do not take too seriously, and even more clear than that was UEFA's transition to the league phase was just a way to earn more money. Saying that, however, both of these things have turned out to be something that I absolutely love, because we're able to get more matches with pure pandemonium and entertainment from clubs that never thought they could be in the position that they are in now. And I'm sure some people will say that the ability level of this competition isn't as high as others, but let me tell you something. Betis just beat Real Madrid. Guess who's in the Conference League and who's in the Mickey Mouse Champions League? Yeah, that's what I thought. Mbappe would get dog walked by my boy Bart Myers.